everything he does, everything that happens to him, shatters the mold.
Tim Tebow went on the road and beat the Kansas City Chiefs and completed 2 passes.
What was it like being around Tebow, Tom?
He would have people cry when they would see him on campus.
Tim Tebow is a name synonymous with passion, faith, football, and controversy. But was he ever actually a good quarterback, or simply a great leader embraced by the media and supported by a collegiate powerhouse? His journey to the NFL sparked endless debates and left a lasting impact well beyond his stats. He won the Heisman Trophy and 2 national championships with the Florida Gators, but it all led to a stunningly brief and tumultuous NFL career, one that leaves football fans everywhere wondering, was it all just unwarranted hype? Tebow's story is one of extraordinary highs and devastating lows, but it's also a story of media hysteria, intense fanfare, and an unwavering belief in chasing your dreams.
If you really believe that there's a plan for your life, right? And I've said that since I was 15, that you trust God, that He has a plan for your life. So it's not just true when it's going right. It's not just the case when you're winning games and championships and it's easy. It's the same thing when it might not be going the way that you want it. Well, it's still not my plan, it's His plan. I'm going to trust Him with it. And trust doesn't go along with bitterness. They don't come to, you either trust it or you don't. He either has a plan or he doesn't, and you trust it regardless if it's good or bad.
Welcome back to Unlikely Success. Like, comment, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Today we dive into the polarizing career of Tim Tebow, one that started as a college football dream, but quickly became an NFL nightmare. Tim Tebow's college career at the University of Florida was nothing short of legendary. As a dual-threat quarterback, he dominated defenses with his powerful running style and high-efficiency passing. Over his college career, he completed 66.4% of his passes. Yes, Tim Tebow completed 66.4% of his passes, throwing for 9,285 yards, and rushing for another 2,947. All in all, he accounted for an astonishing 145 total touchdowns.
Pretty good.
The guy was practically a superhero, and by the time he left Florida, he was a 3-time All-American, 2-time Heisman finalist, 2-time national champion, and the first sophomore ever to win a Heisman Trophy. On the field, Tebow was spectacular. Off the field, he was even more remarkable. He was actually the guy who was a better person than player. While some of his Florida teammates found themselves in trouble, Tebow spent his time doing community service and speaking about his faith. He won the Danny Werfel Trophy in 2008, an award that's given out for exemplary community service and leadership. But despite his on and off the field success in college, skeptics questioned whether his playing style could actually translate to the NFL. Because as great as it is that he was an excellent player and person, the league is driven by results. Valid concerns about his passing accuracy, throwing motion, and ability to succeed in the pocket were all raised as part of the pre-draft process. But the Denver Broncos decided it was worth a gamble, and they drafted Tebow in the first round.
And with the 25th pick in the 2010 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Tim Tebow.
This was considered to be a controversial pick, to say the least. Tebow's throwing mechanics were unconventional, and his accuracy inconsistent. But what he lacked in traditional quarterbacking skills, he made up for in leadership and work ethic. Qualities that then head coach of the Broncos, Josh McDaniels, clearly valued more than the potential passing issues. This was an even more controversial stance for the head coach to take, as he had just traded away Jay Cutler a year prior, and now he was tying his legacy to a successful but flawed draft prospect. From day one, Tebow mania swept through Denver. His jersey set an NFL draft record for sales, and it remained a top 10 seller throughout his rookie season. Tim was an absolute star. Despite the hype, the Broncos planned to bring him along slowly. Very slowly. He saw limited action as a rookie, and Josh McDaniels, who believed in him enough to take him as a first-round pick, was let go.
Fans of the Denver Broncos have gotten their way as coach Josh McDaniels was fired on Monday.
McDaniel's entire time in Denver had been one big controversy. From trading the team's previous star QB to benching their best wide receiver, it was a very bumpy ride with Josh in Denver. The final straw seemed to be videotaping of opponents' practices, something that I'm sure he learned completely on his own, and not from the team where he had previously been the offensive coordinator. Anyway, this isn't about that. It's about Tim Tebow, who in his second season finally got his chance. When Tebow took over as the starting quarterback, he led the Broncos to a series of improbable, last-minute victories, including a stunning overtime win against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And stunning is barely a strong enough word for it. These type of moments were exactly what had led to the polarity on him as a prospect, though. Tebow's ability to rally his team in clutch moments was undeniable, but for every late-game miracle, there were struggles, the type of struggles that can't be ignored. His passing stats were rough, like really rough, and his mechanics were still flawed, and many critics argued that his success was more about luck and a strong defense than his actual quarterbacking ability. And if you look at the numbers, you have to lean this way. During the 2011 season, Tebow completed just 46.5% of his passes, the worst among starting quarterbacks that year. He threw for 12 touchdowns and 6 interceptions, but his QB rating of 72.9 also ranked near the bottom of the league. And the Broncos defense was the real hero, finishing in the top 10 in both total defense and sacks. The Broncos, well, they must have also noticed these exact same things, because after the 2011 season, Denver made one of the biggest free agent signings in NFL history, bringing in Peyton Manning. And with that, Tebow's time in Denver was over.
Screw you! You're fired!
As a starter, Tebow had gone 8-6, but he never completed more than 50% of his passes, and without McDaniel's support for developing him, there was little interest in keeping him around. He was traded to the New York Jets, and honestly, who could blame the Broncos? They upgraded from a project QB to one of the greatest of all time. It was a no-brainer. Tebow's time with the Jets, though, was an absolute disaster. The coaching staff had no real plan for him. He was used sparingly, and when he did see the field, it was in odd, gadget-style plays that never gave him a shot at showing he was a real quarterback. It was a terrible version of what the Saints would eventually do with Taysom Hill. Tebow attempted just 8 passes all season, completing 6 of those for a total of 39 yards. His longest completion, 13 yards. He was sacked as many times as he completed passes. By now, the conversation had shifted to which position Tebow should play other than QB. Was he more of a tight end or fullback had become the talk? After his disappointing stint with the Jets, he had brief stops with the New England Patriots and Philadelphia Eagles, but he never secured another starting role at any position, much less QB. Despite his unwavering work ethic and leadership, his on-field performance just wasn't enough to convince teams to take a chance on him, and in many ways, this is where his fame became a curse. Tebow wasn't just another backup quarterback, and he couldn't be. He was a cultural phenomenon. His fan base was so passionate, so devoted, that bringing him in as a backup risked turning any locker room into a media circus. For many teams, it wasn't worth the distraction. And so, at just 26 years old, Tim Tebow was out of the NFL. After football, Tebow pivoted to broadcasting and professional baseball. He signed with the New York Mets organization, where he played 4 seasons in the minor leagues. While he never made it to the majors, he exceeded all expectations for someone who hadn't played baseball since high school. All the while, he continued to work as a college football analyst for ESPN and remained dedicated to his philanthropic efforts. The NFL dream didn't work out. Baseball didn't either, but Tim Tebow never stopped striving for something greater. So, was Tim Tebow ever a good quarterback or just a great leader? The answer to these questions, he was a great leader who happened to play quarterback. His ability to elevate those around him and deliver in clutch moments was special, but his throwing mechanics, accuracy, and all other traditional quarterback skills never reached NFL caliber. And yet, his legacy extends far beyond stats. Tim Tebow remains a symbol of faith, determination, and leadership. His impact on fans, communities, and even the sports world is undeniable, because in the end, success isn't always measured in wins or completions.
You have never seen any player in the entire country play as hard as I will play the rest of the season, and you never see someone push the rest of the team as hard as I will push everybody the rest of the season, and you never see a team play harder than we will the rest of this season. God bless.
This has been The Unlikely Success.